I don't like the matches coming up at Wrestlemania. This card sucks. Rah, 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 rah. Well, that's how most of you sound. Hey, me, Matt here, and yes, I watched Raw last night. Was gonna do a video, but then it got too late, so oh well. It was a pretty good show, and I mean, look, there's a lot of people that kind of were bitching about WrestleMania and the cards coming up. Well, there's a few matches. I know there's gonna be more to come, but there's really nothing to worry about. You know, people are gonna shit on the product, and that's not cool, in my opinion. So let's figure this out. I don't know. Well, it was a good show, anyways. I thought. You know, could it have been better? Sure. Could it have been worse? Yeah. Gonna shit on the product, and that's not cool, in my opinion. So let's figure this out. I don't know. Well, it was a good show, anyways. I thought. You know, could it have been better? Sure. Could it have been worse? Yeah. We have Jey Uso coming out with Solo Sikoa, and they're basically starting the show, rather. Then the Street Profits come out, talk about where Jey is and whatever, and the match starts when the Street Profits super kick both of them, and yeah, this was a really good match. And it was kind of like, yeah, the Street Profits obviously won. Judging by the Elimination Chamber, I kind of thought that the Street Profits were going to break up. I don't know why. There was always that rumor going around. And could it still happen by the end of the year? Who knows? I don't think so. I mean, I want to see the Street Profits go on for a little while longer, but if it happens, it happens. I don't fucking know. But anyways, yeah, Jimmy and Sikoa. So after that, the Usos launched an attack, and Kevin Owens comes out through the crowd in a black hoodie, kind of like what Sami Zayn does every once in a blue moon. So I don't know for sure, but I know Kevin's like, I don't need help, I don't want help, whatever. I want nothing to do with Sami, but in my opinion, and I think we all know that WrestleMania, we're going to have the Usos taking on Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I mean, look, those two have had a history together for about 20 years, so there's no reason why that can't happen. And I know they're teasing it. So, yeah, the first segment was, Brock Lesnar coming out to the lounge. And it was supposed to be the MVP coming out. Brock comes into the ring and just lays out on a couch waiting for MVP. And then, of course, MVP comes out and very slowly, very cautious of Brock and anything like that. So he eventually makes his way to the ring. They talk about the match. Brock wants MVP to sell him the match or whatever, and MVP basically does that, and they have a toast. Except it's not champagne. Brock pulls out a flask from his jacket pocket, and it's White Lightning. I'm not quite sure if that's whiskey. I have to look it up. And MVP doesn't want it, but ends up having a swig and spitting all over Brock, which then, in turn, Brock gives MVP the F5 for his trouble, and that's about it. So, yeah, I guess the match, well, it is actually set in stone for WrestleMania, and I find a lot of people go, well, this has Vince's fingerprints all over it. Because now Vince is kind of back in creative. Or something along those lines. And it's like, well, why can't they have this match? I mean, we've seen Brock and Bobby a whole hell of a lot. And I'm pretty sure that we're going to have Bobby versus Bray Wyatt at Mania. So why not have Brock and Amos? And yeah, I know Amos is 7 foot, over 7 foot. So that makes not just Bobby, but Brock look like an average size wrestler. But I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I don't know why people are shitting on this idea. I know it's big men slapping meat, whatever. But give it a chance. You know, I mean, last year, Bobby and Omos had an okay match. I didn't think it was great, but this probably won't be great either, I won't lie. But that being said, there have been a lot of matches that weren't great, but were pretty good. You know, they weren't terrible, but they weren't great. It's hard to explain. I don't think that Omos and Brock Lesnar is going to be a bad match at WrestleMania, my opinion. So you have Chad Gable versus the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. This was a mouth-watering match. I mean, it was cool to see Chad Gable, who's an Olympic wrestler, do mat wrestling with Cody. Of course, you have Cody have a lot of great offense. There's a point where Otis and Cody had an exchange. Of course, Cody has his arm around Otis, pointing him to the direction of Maxine, I guess is her name. And so, I like Cody, I really do. I also like Otis, and I can't wait to see what the Maximum Male models work into this. But, yeah, basically, Otis fights Cody off, which has Cody throw him into the barricade. The match continues, and Cody hits the crossroads. There was a point where he went in to the ropes and did that whole back thing he usually does. But Chad caught him and did a German suplex, which is pretty cool. And yeah, and hit the crossroads and beat Chad Gable, and so that was cool as well. And then God's on the mic and says that he's going to be at SmackDown. So, the first meeting of Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. You know, I'm not really a fan of that. I'm not. And I've said that with Kyle. I said that. I probably said that here. And it's like, less is more. If it's on screen, I get that, but it would be more effective if they meet WrestleMania in the ring. Hell, if they have contract signing, that's fine. But the fact is, the way it's going right now, I think it's actually very good. You then have Asuka versus Carmella. This was a good match. I think Asuka coming back as her Kana persona is very cool. And I mean, Carmella coming back almost in her old gimmick or whatever. Like, I think the whole most beautiful woman in WWE thing was okay, but this seems to be much better. But this was a good match, and Asuka went over. Of course, afterwards, she calls out Bianca Belair, so Bianca comes out, has words exchanged, and again, this is gonna be like a good match. It's looking to be cool. And I mean, yeah. There was a backstage segment too with Carmella and Pierce, and then of course you have Chelsea Green come out and their whole thing. Chelsea talks about how she got stranded in, oh, I can't remember. But I thought that was kind of weird because Pierce is like, yeah, you're from Canada, so you should know. And I'm thinking, well, not that it matters, but she's from British Columbia and she's talking about Ontario. They were in Toronto. Or Ottawa. Yeah, it was Ottawa, Illinois. So there's that. Then, of course, you have Carmella and Chelsea talking. Pierce is in a way, so yeah, basically, it looks like a new take team. So I think that's going to be cool. I think Chelsea and Carmella have a similar character build or whatever. And I mean, with the way that the hot mess is in WWE now, seems to be very fun for her. And so, yeah, we'll see where this goes. I think that's going to be cool if they do become a take team. Because obviously, we need more women take teams in WWE. Well, so then we have Piper Niven versus Candice LeRae. You have Nikki Cross following Candice. I don't know what's going on. This is kind of a weird storyline. I mean, we're still calling her Nikki Cross, obviously. We still have the theme music. Don't put her back where she was before. Obviously, they're teasing Sanity, but we'll see. I don't want to see this where they tease something and then they take it right away just because Vince is somehow in charge. That's bullshit. It really is. But this was a good match. And, you know, we have Piper be the monster heel in the women's division. And it's almost like, that was cool. But, you know, Candice won in this match. And pretty cool because, you know, we have Piper get her first loss in a while. So, yeah. We'll see where this goes, and obviously it doesn't hurt Piper one bit. So, we have Miz TV, of course. He announces that he's gonna be the host of Wrestlemania this year, so that's cool. Then Seth comes out, they talk about Logan Paul, and Seth beats the shit out of Miz, takes his phone, and dials Logan Paul and says, we'll see you next week on Raw. So that's going to happen next week. So we'll see what happens. I don't think that's going to be a bad match. I know that Seth didn't really have anything for WrestleMania. Hopefully that'll happen with Logan Paul. And I'm sure it will. It looks like it's going to be in the books. And I honestly think that Logan is pretty good in the ring. And he is charismatic. I mean, I see a lot of other celebrities in the WWE, and I honestly think that Logan is better than Bad Bunny. Well, except for Bad Bunny's Canadian Destroyer, but yeah, that's just the way I see it. Got Bobby Lashley coming out, and he's pissed off, and he basically annihilates Elias. We got Rick Books backstage writing notes. Just, yeah, just the whole thing there. But anyways, Bobby puts Elias in a hurt lock, and he basically gets out of mic and he talks about Bray Wyatt, and Bray Wyatt plays games, and I don't play games. And then, of course, Bray Wyatt goes on a Titantron and plays the Muscle Man dance thing. It has pictures of Bobby, and so I think that's what's going to happen. This year you're going to have Bobby versus Bray. That's never happened before. And look, I know that Bray Wyatt is not exactly everyone's favorite wrestler or whatever, but again, let's just see where this goes. You had him face Bill Goldberg and John Cena and all those others. Let's see what he can do with Bobby Lashley. I think that would be interesting. Kind of a new character to have a match with Bobby. And if it's good, it's good. If it's great, it's great. If it's the shits, well, who knows? I don't know. I mean, I don't think it'll hurt anything, in my opinion, but we'll see. Oh, you know what? Who knows? It could be a one-time match. So yeah, we'll see what happens next week. We had Chad Gable and Cody Rhodes in a match. Now we have Johnny Gargano and Otis, and this was a cool match. You basically had maximum amount of models interfere, but then of course Dexter Lumis came out from the crowd, and it was just kind of, yeah, you know, it was okay for what it was, but Johnny ended up winning Mr. Wrestling. Very good match. I mean, it could have been better, obviously, but it is what it is. So, then you've got the main event. You've got the Gingers versus Damage Control for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. And this was a pretty good match, too. And a lot of people had said that Lita is basically not as good as she once was. And you know, it's the fact that, you know, 46, 47 years old. And yeah, a lot of them are not going to be as great as they once were. But when I watched it, the match, she seemed to be doing well. I didn't really see a botch or anything. Could have been, but who knows. But yeah, they worked very well together. And then, of course, you know, Bailey got involved, which brought out Trish Stratus now. Obviously, Trish was built to come in Ottawa. And so, yeah, you know, that was cool. That didn't happen, though, and she showed up this past Monday, and that made things even. You have Bailey give Io the disarmer on the outside. We have Lita do the moonsault or Lita salt, whatever, and hit Dakota for the win. So this could mean a rematch at WrestleMania, or because now you have Trish Stratus back in the WWE, you have a 6-woman tag team, because you got Damage Control, you got Lita, Becky Lynch, and now Trish Stratus to even the odds. So, you know, this was a good show, and I know a lot of people complain about things for WrestleMania. It's a wait and see. It's just a wait and see. It should work. And it looks like it is. I mean, I am looking forward to Otis becoming a part of the male models if that happens. I'm looking forward to Brock Lesnar and Omos. We'll see what happens with that. That should be a good match. I'd like to see more of Carmella and Chelsea Green. That would be pretty cool. And who knows, maybe they'll have a match down the road for the women's tag team titles. And as far as Becky and Lita is concerned, I'm not sure how long that's going to last. But it's pretty cool. I actually didn't think that was going to happen. I knew that it couldn't happen because usually, yeah, wait till WrestleMania, have a rematch. But they gave them the titles early, so we'll see where that goes. But anyways, that was Raw. So we'll talk to you then later, I guess. Yeah, Wheels of Fury. Revolution. That should be fun. Bye.
So you know that them cutting WCW was a long time coming. But you know, I think that there's this myth out there that Jamie Keller
Gnarly.
that's why he took pleasure in cutting WCW. I don't think that's the case at all. Because if you look at some of his earlier interviews, like